Hi, this is Dean at Dean's Cards. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite vintage sets, the 1953 Bowman set. In honor of that, I'm wearing my St. Louis Browns hat. That was their last year in the league before becoming the Baltimore Orioles in '54. These sets are all detailed in my book, The Bubblegum Card War, and this is actually 21 talking about the 253 Bowman sets. Enjoy. When you talk about the 1953 Bowman set, you kind of need a little bit of a backdrop in history to see where the collecting hobby came from and how it was evolving. The 1948 Bowman was just a plain, simple little card, black and white photos. Advertising took up most of the back with a little bit of player information. The 1949, they added some kind of toning to it, a little bit of color. Then 1950 was the actual color cards, not much evolution happening on the back of the card. So you could see that was slowly advancing. By 1951, the card picked up a little bit of size, had the player's name on the front again, and again the back was very similar to what we had seen in the past. Then in 1952, Bowman introduced a very similar card, not much different. You'll just see an autograph on the front. The back is very similar. So everything was moving along, very slow, consistent pace. And then in 1952, Topps introduced their set, which really set the collecting hobby on its ear. And you can see the poor little Bowman card was just completely outmatched. Even on the back, the little card spent a lot of its space just advertising, and the Topps card had stats and facts and figures and so on and so forth. So Topps came in and made a huge impact into the hobby. So that set the stage for the 53 Bowman set. So in 1953, Bowman felt they really had to do something to get back into the baseball card game, and their response was nothing less than just brilliant and beautiful. Maybe not brilliant, but it was beautiful. This set, often referred to in my book, it's chapter 21, is pure color. Used color photography for the first time. You can just see the interesting photographs and images. Here's the sweet swing of the Mick. Really focused in on the players. Big muscles of Tykozewski. And then on the back, they really addressed their issue as far as statistics. Just a well done, beautiful card. By all accounts, it was just one of the most beautiful sets ever made. One thing you'll notice as you look at this is the nothing on the front other than the picture of the player. This set forces you to really focus in on the face, and it's amazing when you go through this set. I've looked at it many times over the years, how many of the players that I'll misidentify. And but it forces you to just look at that and really concentrate on the player's face. And look at the backgrounds and the colors in this, just way before its time. I think it goes unsaid that the photography at this time was very expensive, hard to do. That was one of the challenges. Here you look at Warren Spahn. This is interesting. Look at the Indian head on his uniform, the bee on his hat. They moved from Boston to Milwaukee in '53, so that was, obviously taken in 1952. But you can just see the detail in this. And as you look through this set, as I often do when I'm going to talk about them, go through it, this set is so unique in the fact that you almost have to go through it several times. The first time you're captivated by the players' faces. The second time you pick it up, don't look at the faces, look at the equipment. I mean, this is just beautiful, some of this stuff that you see in here. You see the old wool uniforms. These things in July would weigh as much as 20 pounds. A lot of people that witnessed the games back then would actually see these guys taking batting practice shirtless. especially in the southern cities like Washington, St. Louis, Cincinnati. You can get a good look at the equipment that they had, the gloves. You see why they taught back in the day, use 2 hands to catch the ball, these little gloves. Here's Yogi Berra, one of my favorite. Take a look at that leather catching mask. Can you imagine having that thing on for 9 innings in a hot day? I mean, that thing will be soaked with sweat, sticking to your face. Then the primitive glove of Joe Garagiola. Another thing with the equipment that's kind of overlooked today is the, look at the bats. Kind of neat to see it in the hands of these guys, Campanella and Matthews, how little it looks. One of the few things that's not changed in the game today, but even that's a little deceptive. Because as you look through here, you're not going to see any batting helmets or any of the other equipment. So you think, well, the bat's the same. Maybe, maybe not. Most kids today have never hit a ball with a wood bat. It's a shame. It's a shame. Nothing like the feel of something coming off a wood bat. Another thing I like about this set is just, again, it just goes on and on with these beautiful, well thought out pictures. And look at the equipment here and the ball and the gloves. And look at those shoes. I mean, they almost hurt your feet looking at it. Look at the ballparks. These pictures were taken in 1952. You can see the National League players. They were all taken by a New York photographer. National League players are in the Polo grounds. And as you look at both of these stadiums, the American League is in Yankee Stadium. If green makes you queasy, watch out. But you can see the upper deck in the Polo grounds, and just they had that deep, deep center field. You can see on Turk Loewen's card that it kind of just fades back just into oblivion. But they had that real deep center field, and of course they had a center fielder in Willie Mays who could patrol it. Another neat thing to look at these, I love to look at these cards, is you get a look at the Polo Ground dugouts here, and Richie Ashburn and Stan Musial. That Stan Musial card's always been one of my favorite. See the bat rack, and again, everything was in the Army green. Not quite sure if that was Army surplus or where that came from. It might have been left over from World War II, like the searchlights of the day. But it just gives an interesting look into these old ballparks that are no longer there. Moving over to the American League, Yankee Stadium was where most of these photographs were taken. You can see the 15-foot frieze called the facade. Okay, back in these days, it was again the Army green. I think it was the late 60s, 67, I think to be exact, was painted white, and the interior of the stadium was more of a blue. That's what most of us remembered in the previous Yankee Stadium. But just another good look at just the decor of this stadium here. Kind of neat. Now, not all of these photos were taken in the two stadiums. I have a few exceptions here. One is here's the Bob Feller card. You can see the palm trees in the back, obviously taken in spring training. It's a neat card. Gil Hodges. And one of the more famous action shots here, probably the first action shot, is Pee Wee Reese. This was actually a 1949 black and white photograph, I believe, that was colored over. But kind of that was the first action shot. What's interesting about this set is they had the first multiplayer cards also, which we saw a little earlier with Mantle and so on and so forth. So that's the trip through the 53 Bowman. Interesting enough, the production costs of this set were so expensive and they went so over budget that Bowman was losing so much money that they stopped producing the set. And then the third series is actually a unique, different set. It's the black and white set. Technically, it's a different set, but you can see they quit using the color photography. They're the same negatives, but same backs. but today it's considered a separate set. So all in all, even with the great look at this set, it was not completely successful. That doesn't stop it from being one of my favorite sets. Well, that's it for 1953 Bowman. Hope you enjoyed it. We put this set up here today, kind of rushed it into a video because it just sold. This was a very good, or a 3 on a 10-point scale, but very popular set. We have hundreds of vintage sets online. We're always buying cards. If you got any questions about this or anything else dealing with vintage cards, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.